Let me tell y'all something. The first Wednesday of the month is a dangerous time to be a comic book collector because all your adult responsibilities have just arrived at one time. Rent is due, card note is looking for you, insurance want a little bit of contribution, and this phone company sends you like 8 reminders like y'all in a toxic relationship, especially if you have Spectrum. They stalk you. And New Comic Book Day walks in like a do-ragged man in Tim's from New York and he says, "You still got $20 on you, little homie?" No, I don't. That $20 has 7 different jobs already. But comic book collectors take that last $20 in their budget and start holding job interviews. Rent walks in with a resume. Groceries have references. Lecture bill got 10 years of experience. Then the foil variant shows up late wearing sunglasses, kicking his feet up on the table, and somehow gets the position. No qualifications, no benefits, just shine. And today's award for most irresponsible financial management goes to me. Because I made a pull list. I did. I sat down. I looked at every book and I said, we're going to demonstrate restraint this week. But y'all know me. Because then I saw Absolute Green Lantern 17 was coming out. Okay, that was already on the list, of course. I got the ring on my finger. Then I saw that Chachu was coming out by Iman Vellani. Miss Marvel herself. She's writing comic books. Come on, man. You know I got to buy that. But now what was supposed to be a 5-book list has now turned into an 11-book one. But here's why comic book collectors deserve the real donkey of the day. We blame everybody except ourselves. We blame the publisher.
Why DC released all these books the same week?
We blame the comic shop.
They put it right there at the register.
We blame the artist.
Cover was just so clean though.
At some point we have to accept that nobody kidnapped us. Nobody forced you to be a Wednesday warrior. And I'm talking to myself too. Don't think I'm standing up here financially healed. Auntie Chase be sending me notifications every week.
Another purchase at the comic book shop, huh?
Yes, Auntie Chase. But this one was different. It was a first issue. Y'all know we love first issues. Marvel be tricking us with them all the time. Talking about it's a #1, but then they got Legacy number 1,000,001 right underneath that.
You said that last week, young brother.
This one actually has potential.
You said that last week too.
Okay, mind your business. This is my account at the end of the day. I work for this money. My $125 an hour pay for this. Because this week, we got Sinestro trying to absorb Joe Mullein and Tomar into a cosmic nightmare. Superman is hunting Brainiac. Gambit is slowly becoming something terrifying based on that last issue. And we have an older Tommy Oliver becoming the Green Ranger one last time. So let's move some money around, prepare our legal defenses, and welcome back to the Pullpit Wednesday. Let's head to the shop. Go! What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Pullpit Wednesday, the weekly show where I break down my new comic book day pool list. We give the writers and the art team their flowers, talk about where every story left off from the last issue, and decide which books actually deserve your money this week. Because as I've said before, comic books are too expensive to go on blind faith. You need references, you need background checks, and that's where I come in. Before we get into it, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the Melanated report, and drop your pool list in the comments. Now, every week there's a couple books that I'm anticipating more than the other ones, so we're going to go ahead and get into those with the top of the list. First up on the list, we got Absolute Green Lantern number 17 with Al Ewing on the keys and Sid Kotian on the artwork. The last issue brought Joe Mullein and Tomar face to face with the Black Stars. And we actually seen some amazing action going on in this issue. I think Al Ewing really did his thing in this last one. And he actually got my faith back because that last issue went kind of hard. So we got to clap for Al Ewing because I definitely have been going hard on Absolute Green Lantern, but you've been doing your thing, buddy. I still got words for the mainline Green Lantern. That one is off the pool list now. I'm just going to say it. But getting back to the last issue, the big thing that happened in the last one is that Sinestro joined the party. And as with all absolute variations of people, this one is definitely different from the mainline Sinestro. He's not rocking the yellow ring in this one. And he's definitely got a lot of attitude, and they definitely bringing him in as if he's going to be a very big bad. It seems like the deeper that Joe explores what it means to be connected to the Green Lantern as opposed to the emotional spectrum in the mainline, the more the story asks whether gaining power is the same as maintaining the control of said power. For instance, John has the gold power, and he has the power to observe everything and know what's going on, but he can never interact. And we can see in the last issue that really rattled him. So I think we're finally going to have a time during this run where he switches his color. And we've seen a few people have definitely switched colors. Hal himself has switched from black to, I think, pink at this point. But I'm pretty sure we're going to keep getting explanations for what's going on. We're going to get an explanation for what Sinestro's being will be, because it seems like he's more like an entity rather than a person. But he does have a human body, it seems like. So I don't know. We'll see what's going on in this next issue. But with that said, I am happy to say I'm actually excited to read this next issue. Al, you're doing something over there. I see what you're doing. You've been doing some story building. I was rushing to judge, but I'm back on the train. And like I said, I'm excited to read this next issue. Next up on the list, we have Absolute Superman number 22. That last issue definitely was, actually the last couple issues have been fight-filled. Sorry, alliteration gets me sometimes. We had our Absolute version of the Random Superman featuring Hawkman, Steel, and Absolute Shazam. And I really like now how they have got this version of Clark to be be dark, but still the hopeful version in the main line that we know and love. Because honestly, I don't like my Superman to be all dark. I like him to have hope. I like him to be, that version that we all know and love. The David Cornsweet versus the Zack Snyder version. Because as I've said many times, I don't like an overpowered alien being an overlord for our planet. I would hate living on the crime syndicate Earth. But getting back to this, I say that because the defeat of Shazam was using words as a power as opposed to overpowering him, because it looks like Shazam kind of overpowered them, but Clark could have possibly came back and killed him possibly, but he didn't want to do that, so it resulted in him using him to say the words of Shazam and resulted him back to be a child, and he defeated him that way. So Jason Aaron has been doing his thing on the keys here, and Juan Ferreira has been killing on the art tip. I forgot to say both their names at the beginning of it, but it's been great art. The way they've been drawing it, everything has been dope. I can't recommend this book enough. So now it looks like we're finally going to be getting back into the Brainiac side of things, since Brainiac has pretty much created every villain, or he's created a lot of villains, and I still want to know what he has done to Lex Luthor, because what he did to him the last issue we seen Lex Luthor, it was all bad, and I want to see where Lex is and what he's doing, because that man is broken. What Brainiac did to them kids was terrible. If you want to see it, just go back and read it. And it also looks like Metallo will be a part of this as well. I think he's going to be another henchman employed by Brainiac, or he probably created him like he did everybody else. So this next issue will probably be a fight between him and Metallo, and then eventually he'll get over to Brainiac, and then we'll see what will happen with that. But again, I can't recommend this enough. Oh, I also liked how they had Talia being read to by Lois Lane the same way that Clark read to her father before he had his fate. So we shall see if she changes her heart. And as we see, Lois' heart has changed because she's forgiven Talia for doing what she did to her father. So yeah, that was actually one of my favorite parts of that issue too. But again, I can't recommend this book enough. I'll be reading this next issue, and you should be too. I mean, who isn't reading the Absolute Universe right now? This is probably like the second or third best book in there. But yes, who isn't reading the Absolute Universe right now? Next up on the list, we got Captain America number 14 with Chip Zdarsky on the keys and Ton Lima on the artwork. Now, last issue was tight. We got a little bit of Red Skull. We had Cat leading the armies of hell. That's a man that's determined to do good anywhere he is, and I'm always willing to read it. Now, Cap's not dead. He was sent to hell for, I forgot actually what was the reason why, but it was right before the Armageddon storyline started. So in the Armageddon story, Peter went over to talk to his body, and it was a very, very Mr. Stark moment, and it was touching. But honestly, I think it's time for Captain to wake up and get into this Armageddon fight, because it's about to go down over there. The other Captain America is about to go rogue, and they're going to need Steve to help out. So hopefully he can defeat Mephisto in these next couple issues and go ahead and get back to Earth. But it was actually cool, a couple of exchanges between Dr. Doom and Captain America too. I just want to know what Dr. Doom is up to, because no matter what he say, that Laverian dude is always up to something. He just speaks with such conviction, and everyone has to listen to him. That was a terrible accent. Don't judge me on that one. I can do that Laverian accent, but when you're on camera, it just don't work. Moving on. Going on over to Gotham, we had Batman number 12 by Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez. And I have really been on the Gotham kick as of lately. I just read Gotham Central, at least the first 6 or 7 books of that, and that was dope. I never thought I'd be interested in seeing Gotham without Batman, but here I am. But in this last issue, we got this little crow lady who was trying to fight Bruce. And honestly, her powers is kind of dope. She's able to turn into crows and then fly around and then reconstruct her body into be human. And then she got these nasty little blades, and they was doing some damage. And at the same time, you got Vandal Savage over here trying to frame Batman for murder, and 2 black people along with it, which I don't appreciate, Vandal. And one of us a little black kid too. Hopefully Matt spares us for seeing a little black death, but you never know. It would hit hard if he did that, but just please spare us Matt in this next issue. But whatever you do, I'm gonna follow it. If you want to make him another Robin because Tim Drake just left and Damien's a little crazy, that I like better. But if you got to make that decision, just don't do it, Matt. So this next issue, I know the Batman was trying to figure out who is this new assassin who's trying to kill him. And also he had Verity, who arrived at the house at the very end of this next issue. So we'll have her introduction in the next issue. I said her name like I knew who she was. She's going to be Alfred's daughter, and she's going to be the new butler for Bruce. So this should be interesting. I actually haven't read the comic where Alfred died, so I need to find that and figure out what actually happened to him. But so it should be cool to see this new dynamic. I'm interested to see how she interacts with Bruce as opposed to how her father did. And it's Batman. Everybody loves a good Batman book, so I'm invested, and you should be too. So technically that concludes my top of the list. But all the rest of the books are books that are on my pull list, and I'll be picking up. Sorry to everybody who didn't make the top of the list. Everybody can't be on there. But y'all finna get my money though still. And continuing on, we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 34, written by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness on the drawing. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I've been reading Amazing Spider-Man just because I want to read a Spider-Man book. These books haven't really been exciting as of lately. Even though the Ultimate Universe has ended, the main universe has definitely been overshadowed by that one, because that Peter had growth and depth, and there were different stories from just the status quo Peter that we know for the last 60, 80 years, how long he's been out. In the last issue, Peter was dealing with the revelation of a cousin due to a clone, and now May thinks that was her son. It's just a lot of stuff that I'm just like, eh. Plus, also, I just got back into Amazing Spider-Man, so I'm not really clear on everything that's going on. I did it very recently, so. But like I said, it hasn't been that exciting. But nonetheless, we're getting closer to that Amazing Spider-Man number 1000. And this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. How's this Amazing Spider-Man number 34, but coming up is Amazing Spider-Man number 1000? That don't make sense, right? Before y'all comment, yes, again, as I said, it's legacy issues, but why do we have it at number 34 right now? But again, this is not a rant, and I know they got to be building towards something for that 1000 issue, so I know something is going to be happening soon. So I'm invested for now, but we'll see if this stays on the list. Even though I feel like I can't get Spider-Man off the list, so I'm being dramatic. Spider-Man's going to stay on the list. But I think that Electro is supposed to be in this next issue, so we'll see if it be the Jamie Foxx version or the Doomsday version. Either way, I'll be there to read. Okay, I got to say this at least once. Oh, you ain't know? I'm Electro. That was the weakest line I ever heard Jamie Foxx ever say. But he's an amazing actor, so we forgive him. Next up, we got Batgirl number 22 by Tate Bromble and Steven Segovia. Surprisingly, I think this is my third favorite ongoing Gotham team book. First up is obviously Batman by Matt Fraction. Then next up is Nightwing by Dan Waters. And then next up, I think, would have to be them. Barbara Gordon Breakout has lost its steam for me. And on the spot, I can't think of any other solo books. So yes, I'm going to say that for right now. I think this is my third ongoing favorite from Gotham team. Give me a Gotham book that I'm probably missing, or just roast me in the comments. But I think there's probably something that would be higher on the list. But we're just going to go with this for right now. And I kind of like this villain they have in there, Forget-Me-Not. He seems like a one-man Inception crew, villain style, because it seems like he's going into Cassandra's mind in order to find an answer, but he's making her uncover it. Now, obviously, she's finding out things about herself, and it's also giving us a origin story for her as well. So you really helped me out in this last issue. Thank you, Tate, because I had no idea how she became Batgirl. But it looks like she was pretty much used as a weapon, and then she was used to kill her sister, I believe. I can't remember if it was a sister, but I know it was another young lady. I sounded old when I said that. And I also like the dynamic of her crime finding her own little bat family that she has going on, because she's a part of the Kane family, but she's also a part of the Bat family as well, but she kind of dips and dabbles into both. And like I said, I'm enjoying this run, surprisingly. So if you're interested in Cassandra Cain as Batgirl, I think this would be a good run to pick up. Good job, Tate. Good job. Next up, we have Civil War Unmasked number 4 by Christos Gage and Edgar Salazar. Now, the last issue tugged on a few heartstrings. I think it was definitely written very well. And there was a couple, pages and words that hit me very deeply as a black man. He was like, why they gotta have my uncle in ropes and chains, man? Even in death. He said they probably kept him this size just so they can do all that. It's really touching. I liked it. But I would actually say the first half of the book was better than the last half, because the last half was pretty much just like a review of the nephew's life, as opposed to the first half touched on Bill Foster, who we knew a lot more. And while I've liked that book in the last 3, Tigra pretty much was a double agent for Tony by joining up with Captain America's team, but really being a spy for Tony. So I think we're just going to have a lot of introspective moments of her trying to figure out if she really wants to do this, probably have some moments talking with the team and seeing a lot of people and getting their motivations for why they're doing what they're doing. And then obviously she does the things that she does in Civil War. I don't know how I'm going to do with this issue, only because, like I said, I feel like I had more emotional ties to these other characters as opposed to Tigra. I don't really know who she is, and it's been a lot of heavy dialogue, and the whole issue doesn't really grab me. There's always like the one portion that you want to know, and then like the rest of the comics just like a fill-in, I feel like. So we shall see how this one does, but the first 3 were definitely good, and I recommend those, but we shall see how number 4 turns out. I think it should still be good, but we shall see. Moving on. Next up, we got Iron Man number 8, with Chachu Wilson on the writing and Carmen Carnero on the art tip. And I really enjoyed the first 6 issues of this, but it's been losing a little steam in this one, but I'm pretty sure they're setting up a nice arc for this. The last issue was pretty much Iron Man 2, if you want to be honest, because James Rhodes came back into the fold, and we also got introduced to Whiplash, who was the villain in the second movie. Now, there's this whole little subplot where there's pretty much what it feels like the Illuminati is watching over Tony because they're not trusting what's going on with him. He now has like a research facility where he's working with people who were kidnapped in the first story arc, and they pretty much have been building weapons for him at this point. And Rhodey sees this and is obviously displeased, and he talks back to the Illuminati people and is like, we need to really figure out what Tony's doing. I feel like all these people trust Tony, but then they keep saying that they don't trust Tony, so I guess I gotta believe what they're saying. But again, I know they're building up to a big story arc with all the Illuminati stuff, so we shall see. And I keep calling them Illuminati even though they're not referenced to as that, but we'll see who they're called. This next issue is pretty much going to be Whiplash probably running amok and be defeated probably in the next issue or this one, so we'll see how it goes. I definitely recommend the first story arc of this one, but this last story arc has been a little But we'll see where it goes. So I definitely recommend the first 6 issues of this comic. But moving on. Next up on the list, we got Uncanny X-Men number 33 with Gail Simone on the keys and Luciano Vecchio handling the artwork. Now, the last issue involved aliens coming to Earth trying to kill the Brood, who just happened to be on the school that the X-Men were at while they were attending a dance. It was not my favorite story arc, but it was better than it seemed like it was going to end. Now, what was weird for me in this issue, because I don't know what was going on with Gambit, is that he turned into this little demon thing and then killed a lot of people, and it was very wild. Again, I have just gotten back into the Uncanny X-Men, so I don't know what happened to Gambit. Last I heard he was a cannibal, but I had no idea that he could turn into a flying demon with a tail, but he did. And this all is being addressed in Gambit series written by Chris Claremont, and this issue actually builds up to that because they actually leave the team, they being Gambit and Rogue, to go ahead and figure out what's going on with Gambit. But it also seems like they're going to pick up the storyline in this book as well, so I don't know how this is going to go on. Actually, now that I think about it, I think they're going to address what's going on in this book with Rogue and Gambit alone, so we may be leaving the team along with them. But let me stop trying to feature tell. We'll see what's going on. I'm pretty sure the cover will be telling the story as I'm trying to figure it out, and I'll be making an editor's note saying that, yeah, I didn't see the cover before I made this video. But once again, another week, and I'm talking about an X-Men book. I will be talking about another X-Men book next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, because X-Men come out every week, and that's not a complaint. I just always feel like I'm talking about an X-Men book on this channel. Shout out to Gail Simone, and moving on. And closing up the pull list, we got White Sky number 5. Now, this one has been a slow burn, but the artwork has been very well done. I like the way that it paces, because I feel like we're going to be coming to a very big situation very soon, especially based upon the last issue. I don't know what Walter means to this world, but he seems like he's very important to what's going on with these ghosts and all the apocalypse. But to sum up White Sky, it's definitely The Walking Dead, but ghost instead of zombies. I feel like in this next issue or the next issue, we're going to get like a full backstory about what happened before the apocalypse and how our characters actually got here. But for now, they've just been set in the mood, and the mood has been very desperate and desolate. There's a lot of pages where words aren't even spoken and you still feel exactly what's going on. So again, shout out to the artist JP Pavinga for handling that artwork, because you've been really doing your thing. And obviously William Harms for writing. But if you're interested in horror comics, I definitely recommend this one. I will say this will probably be a good one for a trade. So if you want to rate and get all the copies when the trade comes out, I do kind of recommend that. But again, I definitely recommend this book. And that concludes the top of the list and pull list. But before we go ahead and head to that register, we're going to talk about the spec list. Now that concludes the top of the list, but before we go ahead and head to the register, we're going to go ahead to the spec list to see what we got going on over there. Now remember, this is not financial advice. I am not your accountant. I am just a man on the internet who knows a little bit about something that he knows a little something about. But with that said, let's hop to the spec list. First up on the spec, we have Power Rangers Green number 1 by Paul Allor and Gustavo Vargas on the artwork. Now, this is supposed to be a brand new version of Tommy where he's supposed to be the last Power Ranger on Earth. The world as we know it is going, and Tommy has put away his morpher and settled with a little quiet family. Then someone arrives from the past and tells Tommy he needs to become the Green Ranger one last time. Now we know Tommy Oliver will never retire as a Power Ranger. Tommy has retired from being a Power Ranger at least like 47 times at this point. He gives away his morpher, he moves away, becomes a teacher, grows a beard, then somebody plays a flute and this man is immediately back in spandex. Tommy's a superhero version of an employee that's always saying, "This is my last week. Brother, we will see you on Monday." But this premise has real potential, as I believe it can explore a world where we can see what the Green Ranger power has actually cost him. I'm sure he'll learn some lessons and see the life that he possibly could have had if he never became a Ranger in the first place. We'll have some revelations about Rita and her control over him. Probably some deep trauma that's associated with that. But I think this has the makings to be a very good book. And we shall see with this first issue. So I recommend you go pick it up as well if you love Rangers like I do. Also, may the power protect you. And last but not least on the spec list, we have Chachu #1, written by Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel herself, with Mariana Ignazi handling the artwork. Now I'm going into this one cold and I'm only buying it because Miss Marvel, as I'm gonna call her, not I'm gonna call her by her name, Iman Vellani is writing this, and I was just interested in seeing her because she's been talking about it a lot and she's a big comic book nerd. And I was very happy that they had a very big comic book person who was playing Miss Marvel, which was pretty much the whole point of Miss Marvel. So it's very meta and I really liked her casting. So I'm going to support her book. But apparently the story takes place in 1979 and follows Layla, a 19-year-old Pakistani young-minded Canadian woman standing at the edge of adulthood. Then later tries to California hoping to connect with her strange uncle, her Chachu. He's a semi-retired investigator who became briefly famous after marrying the actress he had originally been hired to find. Then his wife disappears again, and Layla and her uncle are forced into an unsuspected road trip where a missing person case begins uncovering family secrets, grief, and fantasy both characters have constructed around their own lives. First of all, her uncle being a private investigator who married his former pretty much case, that seems like that's a conflict of interest right there. That's messy, and I want to know what happens. So I'm here to support, and I forgot that Mariana Ignazi also worked on Exquisite Corpses, which I know I'm a big fan of. If you haven't gone watch that, go ahead and watch my review. I'm trying to put that video up here somewhere, a link there, so y'all can see that. But yeah, go check that out. And since she worked on that, I know she has to be an amazing artist. So that's enough for me. It's sold, and I'm going to be picking up this Wednesday. And I think y'all should too. We got to support our creator owned comics out here, you know? That's funny. Wouldn't Marvel want to be the first person to give her a comic book since she was in the movies? But hey, who am I? Amateur's probably giving up that bread. She said, I'm going with y'all. Moving on. And with that said, that is actually the end of my pull list for August 5th, 2026. I'm not going to lie to y'all. The Queen in Black 2 will get bought this week. I just didn't feel like talking about the book. So yeah, that will be the end of my pull list. So now I want to hear from y'all. What made your pull list? What are you reading first? And which book did I completely sleep on? And for real, before y'all go to the comic book shop, make sure y'all pay y'all rent. That's the one good financial advice I will give y'all today. And with that said, go and hit that like button, subscribe to the Melanated Report, and share this video with everybody who says, I'm only buying 3 books this week. They are lying. You know it, I know it, and they know it. The LCS has already put something to the side for them to pick up. We're going to go ahead and get out of here for now, but until next time, stay locked in, stay melanated, and happy New Comic Book Day. Peace.